Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Yes, it's Sunday night and I very nearly didn't end up going live tonight because things here have been a little bit chaotic. So, tonight we are going to talk about a sale that's on with Caddx that ends tomorrow. So I just want to highlight it. I actually missed this last week, so I want to highlight it today just in case people are interested. Yes, we're going to have to talk about the DJI issue. We're also going to talk about the new stuff from OpenIPC, because there's been 2 of them. There's a new printer from Bambu Lab, which I want to talk about at the end of the stream. And we'll talk about anything else that comes up along the way as well. Now, you might notice things look a little bit different. And if I go to the full wide, you will notice things have moved around a little bit. And there are reasons for this. It's not dramatic, but this side has changed a little bit, and that is because I've been in the process of building a new PC for editing, for general use, but I wanted to strip things separately now rather than use one PC for everything. I've actually moved over to 2, or at least that's the short-term plan at the very least. But I also wanted to move things around a little bit and change stuff that hasn't been working, because whenever you lay a building out, you think you get it right, but over time, you realise you didn't. And whereas I used to have all the sort of workbench and everything here, it really didn't work because this area was just always a bloody mess. A complete and utter mess. And I was never in the position where I was able to keep it tidy. So I've actually swapped everything around. Everything's been moved over and the workbench is over that side now, rather than this side. It doesn't affect the way I record content, but it will make my life a little bit easier. And what it means is this area shouldn't keep getting a complete mess and I have to sort it out before I go on stream. Because at least if that area is a complete mess, you can't see it. And that means it hasn't happened. Now, just to show you what it has all moved around like before we get into it. I have a camera in my hand and I'm going to try something. Right, let's see if this works. I set this up before. Hey! No, yes, come on. That's not right. It's the... Hold on a minute. Let me plug that back in and see if it kicks in. No, I have moved to Windows 11. Well, that's annoying. This was working, and then I put it down. And now it's not working. Well, that's annoying. Let's see if it unplug and plug back in kicks it in. Do you know what? OBS is an absolute pig on this stuff. It is. Let's see if we can do it. If not, I will move on with my life. Come on. This was all working before stream and I put it down on the floor and now look what's happened. Someone's gone Windows, yuck. Yeah, you really can't do what I need to do on Linux. Whilst Linux is a lovely idea for embedded devices, for any form of creative, it is just not going to happen. I know what happened. If this has a little bit of an annoying HDMI cable, and what happens is, look, it's frozen. And it always does this. And the problem with OBS, and this is a big problem with OBS, you can't fix anything whilst it's live. So you end up being stuck, basically. Should have gone Mac. No, look, I've chosen not to go back to Mac. I was a Mac man a very long time, but I had chosen not to go Mac in the end. I'm going to give this one more chance, and let's see. No! Let me try something. I have one idea. One idea that might work. I'm going to remove the source and add the source back. And let's see if doing this will do it. Hey! Hey, there we go. Hey, right, I need to turn on. Okay, we're live. That worked. Ooh. You don't want that audio. You don't want that audio. You just want that one. Yeah, hopefully the audio's back now. It added the audio source as well. It did. So, right, we should be there. Way! There we go. So, okay. So, to show you the corner, this used to be the workbench area, and my God, is that dark. Let's brighten that up a little bit. We're on auto ISO. Let's get that up, and then let's get autofocus to actually kick in. There we go. So, that is the new tidy corner, which I have tidied up. It's not quite finished. There's a couple more bits to do, but it is all tidy. I've then mounted something so I can watch some stuff above it whilst I'm editing. I've built a complete new machine. There it is. Yes, it's full of RGB. Yes, I'm a slag. Can't help it. Sorry about that. But that's the tidy corner. And then, if I go around this way, now you will see where the workbench is, and it's now over there in that complete mess, which it isn't tidy yet. I've got to finish it. It's almost finished. There's a couple of bits I've tossed on top. Once I've done that, and I've got to move that's got to go. 3D printers there. Those three are there. What I have here. And yes. So, we are... Hello, and that's the back end. That you can see yourselves there. Hello. So, we're nearly there. It is organised chaos. It needs another hour or two just to finish. And then it will be good to go. Ooh. Why has that not worked? Do we not have chat tonight? Hello, chat. Are you not working tonight? Okay, chat has vanished off the side. Sometimes it stops and then starts again. Ah, oh, come on. Hey, there we go. So yes, the new machine is almost done. Couple of tweaks. The only thing I'm a bit disappointed on is the 5090. Not performance, it's a fucking absolute monster. Just the MSI card. Let me show you this. Let's see if this works. Let me show you this, right? So I went for the cheapest 5080 you can get, right? And let me show you this, because this is crap. Oh, I turned the camera off. I want to show you one thing before we move on. Let's see if I can get it on. Yes, Scan had stock in the UK. So let me just... Oh, my cup of tea's arrived. Let me just grab that whilst the camera's powering on. That's good timing. Right, I want to see if I can show you this, because this is crap poor for the price you pay for these things. Hey, we're alive. Right, let me show you this. And I don't know how easy you're going to see this, because I have to show you through glass. Look at the MSI logo on that card, right? Look at the terrible printing. Hard to show you through glass, I know, but can you see there? Can I refocus? There. Oh, come on. It's a bit... There you go. Look at that! That is shocking. That is shocking. That is absolutely shocking. No, I can't go for AMD. Not in an editing rig. That is shocking considering what you pay. That really is. So, yes, I found stock in the UK. Stock is improving. Put a Caddx sticker over it. I am going to put something over it. But considering the price, yeah, I'd have loved to have got a Founders. Couldn't get one. Chat is definitely broke tonight, innit? I do not know what's wrong with that tonight. Okay. I'll have to figure that out. 5080, sorry, not 5090, 5080. Not spending 5090 monies. No. 5080, sorry. But, yes. Crazy. So, anyway, let's get back on with it. And let's talk about the news this week, because there's been a bit going on. First of all, Joshua Bardwell causing trouble on the Walk Snail group today. No, I'm joking. Did anyone see JB's? Oh, did people get upset? All he asked for was a plug-and-play connector. And oh my God, did the group melt down. I actually agree with JB. Entirely. 100% that Kaddex should be included in that connector. I have always said this, and it was part of my argument with the OpenIPC stuff the other day, and everything I said is, do what the biggest amount of people are doing. And look, as someone has said, honestly, the connector's not what we need the most. And I have made a comment about this as well, which I will refrain from. But anyway, so JB made a comment on the Kaddex group, which I thought was hilarious. But the first thing we need to talk about is this, and this is quickly Caddx sale, because it ends tomorrow. And that's the only reason I want to highlight it. And they do have a little bit of discount on a number of their products that may not work properly. I'm being facetious there. Okay, look, there's some decent discounts to be had. Okay, so you can get $30 off a set of goggles X, down to $429. For the money, you can't knock them. A good goggle. Overall, now the Goggles X have really settled in. Yes, they haven't got the proper Wi-Fi functionality working. Yes, there's a bunch of stuff that Caddx haven't fixed. However, the pricing is decent. It's a good goggle. No complaints. Go Film, that's a really good little quad. I need to order a frame for mine because I broke mine. I like this quad. Comes with the Moonlight kit, $50 off, $349. Really great way to get into it. Walk Snail repeater. No one in their right mind, unless you're in an eastern part of the world and need to do something, as I have shown in my video, should really be considering this. Strange product. I've remained saying strange. Does what it's meant to do. Comes with a latency payoff. Anyone really need it. Are they binocular style? Yes, they are, like DJI, like all of the other goggles. It's traditional binocular style goggle. Yeah, it's a good goggle. Genuinely, all of the main issues on the Goggles X have settled down. The overheating is basically vanished. Okay, QA is definitely an issue for Caddx. Remember, Caddx lied to me, okay, I won't go that far. They made a mistake and told me a part wasn't available, and then it was. And they offered me sort of a piecemeal, which was, we'll send you a set of Goggles X for free. I gave them away on this channel because I wasn't going to keep them. I accepted them and gave them away. And the set they sent me, brand new and sealed, had a faulty display, for those who remember. Just to say how it is and how it was. But I have to say, VRX module 269, that's not feeling great money, I'll be honest, but that's with a VTX. And then they've got the Goggles L head tracking bundle. That's really, I tell you something, if you're into ground-based vehicles and you wanted a setup kit, that's ready to rock and roll. That is a great little way to get into ground-based vehicles. And Andy Moore said, the Goggles X have been working great since you fixed them. There you go, Andy, the man who I gave them away to. And then they got some discounts on VTXs. GT 159. The GT, I feel, is a strange product. It's too big for most people. It needs a fan. It's not a quad. I really don't think that is a general VTX for most people. Maybe long range users can cram that into something like this. The 7-inch. If you can cram that into something like this, then it's definitely worth considering. But other than that, it's not a general everyday VTX. The Pro Kit V2, interestingly, they still seem to have version 1 VTX. Is that version 1's? No, it's not. Info camera, they're selling on their website now. So, look, some discounts to be had. Ends tomorrow. Check it out. Really, it's as simple as that. That's all there is to say on it. Nothing to complain about. Whilst I'm talking about Caddx, there is zero news I'm aware of at all. I don't know any whispers. I don't know any leaks. I haven't heard anything. I haven't talked to Caddx in a very long time. So I don't really know what's going on. I can't tell you anything. I just don't understand. It's as simple as that. That's all I can say. There's nothing I can tell you. It really is that. Now, with regards to Caddx, that's really all there is I can say. That there just is nothing. I know there's nothing at all. Now, there might be people out there that know something. I don't. I don't think I'm particularly in their best books, but I don't know. So it's as simple as that. Right. The next subject we're going to move on to is about a video that I published today. And that is to do with these. Now, I'm a little bit annoyed about this because I'm annoyed at myself because I actually missed this initially. When these first come out, I did a bunch of RF testing. And I seem to have missed the fact that they were still transmitting on 2.4 gigs all of the time. I did all my RF testing. I dived into it. I think I know what happened. And I think I know how I missed it. And I missed it because when this product originally released, it released with the Avata 2. And I did a bunch of testing very specific to that. What I then didn't do when 04 released was a whole suite of retesting on everything. I retested 04 and the RF behavior and all of it, and it basically matched the Avata 2. But what I didn't do is go back and double check every element, and that was an error that I made. And as a result of that, I had skipped over the fact that these goggles are transmitting on 2.4 gigs at all times. Now, this only started to come to light over the last week or so, where random users were posting really weird crap with the Goggles 3 and Express LRS. And it's not everyone. I'm not having it. But they were adamant it was being caused by their DJI goggles. And whilst I was very clear in saying DJI cannot cause it, I would not be shocked. I'd be astonished if they were causing it. They were definitely a trigger for something else. And that's what it turns out. It turns out that they are transmitting, and I have to be clear, they're not particularly transmitting in a bad way. But that transmission in such close proximity to your Express LRS transmitter is causing a problem. Something that I have learned a lot more about, and I do think there's actually quite a lot of lacking of understanding around this. And I'm in the process of making a video, and I need to get a bit more info from one of the Express LRS devs. But Express LRS isn't as simple as you might think, in the sense of you power up, it transmits, your receiver picks it up, and if there's a telemetry link, it sends back. There is a bunch of handshaking, and it's not particularly complex, but it is enough that if that goes wrong, you will have problems. There are sync packets in Express LRS to make sure that the receiver is hopping at the correct point with the transmitter. And there's this initial sort of configuration. And whilst it doesn't have to have it, if there's a problem, it could cause what we've seen here. And that is the weirdness. Now, I released the video on this today, and I have put together what I refer to is like a technical bug report for DJI. Whenever I find an issue like this now, I write to DJI on DJI Forum with a technical analysis. I did it for all of the issues on 03, and I've done it on 04 with both this issue and the FCC issue. DJI have completely ignored the FCC issue, but I have posted this, that Goggles 3 and N3, and this does affect 3 and N3. Just 3 and N3. No Goggles 2, Integra or V2s. And I've published it in as much technical detail as I can that makes sense. For DJI, I show here the image of the carriers transmitting. Here I showed the carrier, and it's not actually 3 carriers. You might think it's 3 carriers, but it isn't. It's a frequency hopping carrier. So it's actually a single carrier that jumps between those 3 positions. It looks here like 3 carriers, but it really isn't 3 carriers. It's a single carrier when you look at it in a real-time spectrum analysis. And I explain what the fix is, and the fix is that DJI need to turn off the 2.4 gigs radio when not in use. Now, I do show in the video that overall, this isn't blocking the band. This isn't causing great amounts of interference. It really is a single carrier pulsing around. But the issue with this is that it is in very close proximity to your transmitter. And in fact, even to make it a bit worse, the aerial on these goggles for that is actually in this bottom corner, not pointing down as such, but it is pointing in the direction of your transmitter because it's designed to communicate with the DJI transmitter as well. And it's the GFK antenna down there in the bottom corner. But I have published this on DJI's website, and it looks like this Express LRS bug is the cause. I just need to find the bug report for that. I haven't actually got that open a minute. Some tin foil over that antenna. Yes, that might help. It's a pretty random bug for the Express LRS dev team as well. You know, it's very much a weird one. It's not one. They were already on top of it, ironically, when it seemed to come to light. But the Express LRS team were already on it. You know, 3 weeks ago this was published. They'd already had reports of issues. So they have already started. And we think this is what's happening. I need to be clear here. Nothing here is 100%. All we know 100% is the DJI Goggles 3 and N3 are absolutely transmitting a carrier on 2.4 gigs when they don't need to be. Now, just to show you the carriers here, you can see the images. They are on 2.402, 2.404, and 2.39. One of those. One of those. So, yeah, look, it's annoying. It is what it is. I can't really blame DJI for the issues. Goggles 2 are not affected, whereas because they use the other remote system. Yeah, so the real crux of the change here is the fact that the DJI Goggles 3 and N3 now use 2.4 gigs to transmit from here to the radio and the radio to here, and then that's fed over to the air side. Whereas on the original system, it was just using this. And it is random, and it's one of those real quirky issues. For me, the annoyance in it from a DJI perspective is these don't need to be transmitting if you're not using the DJI remote controller, and it would be better for everyone if it wasn't. There is no good reason for these goggles to be pulsing a carrier on 2.4 gigs. Now, it might be complex for DJI to turn that off automatically if the radio isn't there. It might be that they need to do it to see if the radio is there. Personally, they should do it the same way they do it on the air side, that the goggles don't transmit and the air side starts communicating. But what would absolutely be an acceptable way out of this is if they just added next to S-Bus, normal and off, the ability to turn off that radio. That would be an absolutely acceptable outcome for me. It's sloppy from DJI. We had something very similar with the Goggles X launch. Before the launch, if you remember in my Goggles X, I pointed out that Caddx had left the Wi-Fi on all of the time, and they fixed that in later firmware. This is along those lines. It's sloppy, is what it is. Nothing more, nothing less. I don't think there's anything, you know, I've seen people comment saying, DJI have done this to force you to use their remote. Look, don't read in, don't overthink this. It's sloppy coding, is what it is. It's just, no one has sat there and picked up and tested it. Now, here's the irony. If I'd have been sent these goggles, if I'd have received these goggles with an 04 Air unit before the release of the Avata 2, I'd have found this straight away because it's like a test that I usually do. Hence the reason I found it on the Caddx one. What got me on this one was the Avata launch, and it was a bit messed up. But look, it is what it is. It's not shocking. It's not terrible. But do just bear in mind this. When you are walking around with these goggles turned on, even if your quad is off, they are transmitting that carrier in 3 frequencies on 2.4 gigs. That could have implications for people flying around you. It shouldn't. If you take an Express LRS signal, it's full FHSS, you're seeing 1 or 2 random carrier collisions. It's more RF overload than anything else. But until DJI do something about this, and this is the bit I'm more concerned about, it's transmitting all of the time. That's a bad thing. Now, as for anything else, look, it's sloppy. I don't expect it from DJI. There is no excuse for it from DJI. They have the resources, they have the manpower. The truth is, it's an oversight. But I'm not going to sit here and just say, hey, oh my God, it's hard for them to do anything. They could easily have fixed this. DJI are the Apple of drones. They could easily resolve this. But it's a silly miss, in my opinion. It's an easy fix. Put a menu option, turn off the GFSK radio, and then we can all get on with our lives. Obviously, when it comes to 04, we still don't have any fixes for anything else. You know, when I go on DJI Forum, look, I have a post here, which is another one, which is the other bug report that I raised when we found all of the other users. DJI have still not done anything about this. They have failed to address this. I don't even think they've responded. Nope. Like always, DJI ignore me. Oh, no, they did. Oh, yeah, they wanted my logs. They have replied. They want logs, but I can't provide... I'm going to have to try and provide them logs in some way or form, but that was a while ago. I did see it, but it's like loads of people are having this. Yeah, Blue Sky FPV, that's what I agree with. That's what it should do. So we still have a bunch of issues in 04, especially in the FCC mode. Sorry, the CHAM mode. But overall, look, 04 is phenomenal. I still think it's brilliant. It's half-baked. It is very half-baked. It's more half-baked than most stuff I've seen from DJI. But they've moved on. Look, you've got the release of the Mavic 4 this month. They've already started pushing Have they got it on here? No, they haven't. There has already been leaked stuff ready for the Mavic 4, which I think is probably going to be the best drone DJI have ever made. Genuinely, I think the Mavic 4 is going to be incredible. I think it will blow anything that's come before it out the water. But that's a different beast. I think it's just going to be a game changer. Absolute game changer. It really, really will be. But 04 is very good. Like, when you look at the footage from 04, it is phenomenal. I was flying this yesterday and today. I'm just getting the review of this ready. Nice quad. Too loud, but that is what it is. And battery life is depending on how hard you push it. I can get it as low as sort of 8-9 amp without any wind, but you then hit 20 amp as soon as you push or you have any wind. But 04 on this is good. The footage isn't perfect. You know, you are getting some vibrations through still. That's the 04 effect. You know, we are still getting some make it through. If I just queue up this, I want to show you this a minute. You know, I love how 04 looks, especially in lower light conditions. It just looks... Oh, I was trying to make it go full screen. It looks phenomenal. 04 just looks so good, especially around water, especially when you get into the detail in the image is insane. It really is. When you start looking at low level and you get to like water, I think I start do I chase the river back up at this point? And you can just see every ripple in the water. It's just crazy. It really, the detail in it is bonkers. It's just bonkers. This is moving footage. And it's especially in the low light, like this is tough, and like all of this is smeared up, but I'd expect it to be. I really would expect it to be. Shame it doesn't record audio. No, this isn't Goggles view, this is DVR. Yeah, YouTube will be botching the video quality. It's not going to look that good for you guys. But this side, honestly, it's just bonkers. Oh, you've got compression, have you? I haven't. So, looks good for me. Let me pause it and see what it looks like when I pause it. See if it looks any better for you guys when I pause it on a ripple. Let's get to one of them. When I get a bit lower. There. I'll pause it there. This isn't from the Goggles side, it's recorded on board DVR side. But even the Goggles side is just insane as well. The Goggles. It looks pretty for YouTube standards. Yeah, and look, when you start looking in the detail, I'm not going to pretend it's perfect, but man, does it look good. Man, does 04 look good. Just... And the crazy thing is, for anyone who hasn't flown it, it virtually looks like that in the Goggles. There's like no compression in 04. And I said this last week, I'm not going to go on about it. There is just no compression. it's bonkers. But anyway, I did this before and I've talked about it before, so I'm not going to go on about it. So, that's the DJI stuff. Is what it is. Look, hopefully they'll get it fixed. Someone said, it's just so much dollars. See, I don't think it's expensive. And I'm not talking about that as a guy who gets stuff for free. An 04E unit is $220. The goggles are all goggles are expensive, right? All goggles are expensive. So you're paying $400-500 for a set of goggles. That's the reality. You're going to pay 500 quid for a set, $500-600 for a set of 04X Pros. For the DJI side, it's not terrible. The V unit and VTXs, for what you're getting, you're basically getting an action camera in every one, is what you're getting. You know, the horsepower, nothing can come close at the moment. And, yeah, it does, image quality-wise, it's just, I choose it every time from an image quality perspective. So, that's it with DJI, that's it with Kaddex. There's not really anything to talk about HDZero wise at the moment. Everything is sort of settled down on the new HDZero goggles. You've got people trying to get hold of them. People, I think supply's a little bit challenging at the start, as it always is. Yeah, it's as simple as that. Really, there's not a lot to say or complain about on the HDZero side of things from video perspective. It's all pretty good. Now, if you've got any questions before I move on, please do put them in the chat now. I'll take a break for a few moments. Yeah, so Almax just said, I don't think it's bad for the fact DJI have a reputation of being bulletproof. I have to say, I think all of the early issues have also vanished. You know, the UFL issues vanished. Camera cables are getting better. There's more available. It's settling in. If we can get... If DJI tied down all of these little quirks, it's game forward. That's it. Move on. But obviously, you know, it doesn't suit everyone. Caddx looks good in different situations. On the Caddx side, what is the best camera today for the Caddx system? Because you've got the Moonlight DVR. You need probably the Pro camera, don't you? Trying to look down. They don't sell the cameras. We want the 1S3S. Single antenna, dual antenna. So you got the Moonlight kit. Pro HD kit. Is the Pro... yeah, Pro is the low light king, but how is the Pro in daylight? I need to go back and look at the Pro. Pro is definitely the low light king. Yeah. Moonlight is 4K. Yeah. Pro is definitely... Moonlight is the closest. Mostly resolution, not general quality, yeah. It was ridiculously sharp as well. Yeah, and it depends what use case is at the end of the day, isn't it? Okay. Now, two things. So, the first thing I just want to talk about quickly is RunCam have finally, and I'm annoyed at this, right? And I'll tell you why I'm annoyed at this. I'm annoyed because last week I paid for this to come and it's arrived. And now they finally freaking listed the VRX module. So if I'd have waited, I could have got this as well. So Caddx, RunCam have finally got their VRX module up for pre-order. I might not order one. I can't decide whether to order this, and I'm going to explain why in a minute, or not. $99, good price, 4 antenna unit. I think everything looks interesting. I need to get one in. The truth is I'm going to have to order one. That's the truth of it. I do like overall what RunCam have done with this. I think it's looking a bit simpler in many ways than, or not simpler, but a bit cleaner than, say, the Emax. I still don't have the Emax gear. It's not arrived, so I don't know if it's coming or not. I just, who knows? But yeah, you've got the RunCam unit, which is now available for pre-order at $99, which I think is a good price. No complaints, considering what you're getting. It really is, considering basically it's a Redaxer. It's basically a Redaxer and the VRX module. But yeah, it's available, free shipping, so I'm going to have to order one. 14th of April onwards, that's when it's going to ship out. However, finally, is it 2TX, 2TRX? No, it's 4TX stroke RX, whatever the configuration is. They're full-size modules. So are they full diversity, actually? That's a point. Are they full diversity? Is it one transmitting per pair? I need to check that, actually. I instantly thought no, but I could be wrong on that. I think it'll do 4 transmits if it could. It just depends what the software tells it to do. But look, RunCam have done this. However, today we have the announcement of this. And this is by someone called Failsafe FPV. It's not the Failsafe that I know. It's not the grubby little rat that I'm aware of who sneaks around here and there. How are you doing, mate? It's a different Failsafe. And this is the Bonnet. And this is the board for the Redaxer for OpenIPC. Now, I have watched this video. I'm not going to play it all. I suggest you go watch it. They get into it, showing the board here. I think I like the video. I'm not gonna be critical. I'm just gonna say I think you slightly over-egged it at the start where you're saying this is game-changing, revolutionary. You might have missed the fact that RunCam have released this, and I know you haven't, and I'm playing, and I am playing. It's hard to call something game-changing, revolutionary when this already exists. If you'd have got it out before this, I'd have given you the free pass. But because this has already happened, I'm going to poke you with a stick. But I'm only poking you playfully. Anyways, so, look. The hat is out. And what the hat is a board for the Redaxer. So here's the website images of the hat. It is, if we click on it, it is like a hat for a Raspberry Pi, but for OpenIPC. Basically, has the RF modules on board. There's the PCB design. And it allows you to build your own VRX module. So it has all the RF stuff on board, control stick, circuitry, all of that lot there, looking good. And basically, you can simply plug it into the Redaxer. So if you don't know what the Redaxer is, it's there. It's one of these things. So you can plug it straight in. There is a loop cable. I'm okay with that because I can put that inside. You can see there, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 antennas. Did someone say 8 antennas? Option to connect more adapters. Yes. But really cool to see. Now, what's actually very cool is it's going to cost $40. When I listened to the video, though, my understanding is they're making it... I wasn't quite sure if they only intend to make 100 or there's going to be a batch of 100. I'm not sure which of the two it is. From a price perspective, I think it's a good deal for people who want to build it themselves. Look, in the end, I think this is better for 99% of people. $100 all in, because you're going to pay close to 100 if you haven't got a Redaxer already. So if you had to go and buy a Redaxer, no, you wouldn't. You can get the Redaxers quite cheap. No, you'd probably be 60. You could probably do it for 60, 65, maybe 70. But this is going to be probably, for most people, this is going to be the solution to go for. This, though, is if for the core people or people who want to build it themselves. Very cool to see. Very cool to see. You can get a nice foam and case with $99, which makes it better for me. Yeah, exactly. Look, that I think is... It's an off-the-shelf product. So that makes sense. But it's really good that the hat is out as well. It's all come at the same time. And yeah, there's really not a lot more to say other than that. I need to rebuild all of mine. I've got a couple of videos I'm trying to get past, and then I'm gonna order this in from RunCam. And when I get it in, I'll then start having a proper look at how this performs. Things get quite complicated because this puts things in a sort of strange position. Because, you know, if we do that and then we do the version 2, and we'll have a look at the version 2 in a minute. Okay, so you're talking $170 for a VTX and camera unit. What's it from Caddx? I can't remember the pricing. Okay, so look, if we just compare it to that. We don't want it with the Moonlight kit. Let's pick something reasonable. Still quite a bit of difference when you get into the main VTXs. You get the 1S kit and you can get it for $249. You can get it for $239 with the 1S Lite. Not really comparable. If I wanted to be comparable, $289. Talking $100 more still. So there's a bit more in it than you initially think. Yeah, $170. It's $100 of saving plus. Yeah, I'm just look. Single VRX is $219. Yeah, you know, look. If you were starting from scratch, you're gonna be sort of minimum at $289. So there's still a chunk of saving there. There really is still a chunk of saving. Now, as I have said, my VTX has arrived. If I go to the overhead, And let me darken the camera down, because these white boxes are an absolute nightmare. I have got the new version 2 Wi-Fi Link VTX from RunCam. Much, much better designed. Much better. You can see heat sinks either side, sandwich board design. This looks like a product now. I still don't like the fact they're shipping them with fans. I think this crap needs to go. I know you can unplug it. I would rather have seen bigger heatsink here on this. Much rather the bigger heatsink than the fan. That way you can... It would be better for cooling purposes. But look, it's good to see. What's the dimensions on it? Let me grab my vernier. Ah! My vernier's gone! I've moved everything around and my vernier's vanished. I've lost my vernier! Well, that's not good. That's what happens when you move stuff around. Alright, I'm gonna have to use my ruler. Let me find me ruler. You're not gonna get it precise in this video. So, size-wise, on the Mads Tech ruler, you're gonna get probably 33 by 30 by... Total of that is 16, 17, but the VTX on its own, 7, 8 mil. I haven't got my vernier. My vernier has vanished. This is what happens when you tidy up. So, look, this is the new VTX. Much improved design. Much improved design. Obviously, there are people who wanted different cameras. So, look, the camera isn't perfect. Is it the 385? I can't remember the sensor. Let's just have a look. This is the IMX. Is this the... Which one is this? So, this one will do 1080p 90 or 720p 120. Is it the 385? I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to get to the spec at the bottom of the page. Oh, it's the 415, sorry. Zoe, this is the 415. So it'll do 1080p 60, 1080p 90, or 720p 100. That's fine. Look, I'm not interested that much in... Look, 1080p 120 is... Look, we're not... The system ain't ready for that yet. We worry about that later. I still don't like this whole RJ45 thing. I think this is still crap and it needs to go, and we need a proper USB controller. I do not like this crap with setting it up with a network card. It's a pain in the ass, because very few laptops have a Cat5 port on the side of them now. Yeah, the 335 does 120. Yeah, very few laptops have it. If you've got a PC, you've then got to unplug your network cable. You've then got all of the stupid sharing stuff that you have to do. I want this element gone, and we need a USB port, and not a... I don't want a USB to network adapter like we had on the Mario. It works, but it's the same annoying functionality because it just has an onboard NIC. I would rather us have a proper way of connecting and communicating with it. That would be better. SD card slot. I don't know. Does the DVR on board work? Has anyone tried it? I don't know. Haven't tested it yet. But I have to say, this is a much, much better design. You know, I can make a video on this. What they had before, I was not comfortable in making a video on. It just wasn't there. I think the hardware looks bang on. I just can't, you just can't knock this. If anything, and I have to say it, it almost looks a little bit better than Caddex's designs. So, yeah. Finally arrived. But now I gotta wait for the VRX. We then have all of the other... we then have all of the other complexity around... Are you going to run the RunCam software? Should you flash it with the standard OpenIPC build? This is where... this is where things get a little bit complex, because obviously RunCam are going to have sent this with their build of software on. And as a reviewer, I really should be doing this as it comes from them initially, and then if you want to expand it out. And this is where things get a bit complex, because you're going to have all of the new users who will buy this will expect it to be working with just their hardware, the way they do it. And that's... You're going to test it in what RunCam have delivered. I don't even know what versioning RunCam have got versus the current OpenIPC build. I don't even know today if there's any benefits to flashing the latest version of OpenIPC on this versus what RunCam ship. I don't know. You know, what RunCam has shipped, does it work properly? Does it have issues? Do you need to flash the latest software? Is there a proper build for this, or do you just flash it as one of the other generic builds? I've not had a chance to look at it yet. There's all of this complexity to look at. I don't even know. Has the OpenIPC configurator been updated to include this? I don't even know what's happened with that now. OpenIPC configurator. Is this the latest version of the configurator? Let's have a look. No, because that's March the 13th, 2024. So, and if you look at this, that I search Google, and this is what comes up when I search for the latest configurator. So, is this the latest configurator? Or not? Because this is what most users are going to search at. We have a multi-platform. Where is that one? Installation instructions. So where can we find the configurator? And a work in process web UI. Web UI will be good because it's much easier. But see, this is where things get a bit messy. Where can I find the latest configurator, which is the correct one? This is where things get challenging. OpenIPC multi-configurator. There we go. And the latest release was yesterday. Yeah. Yeah, this is where, you know, you start running into problems. So we've got Windows 64. Let me just find this. Downloads. Extract. I'm assuming this doesn't need to be installed. Is it this? Boo-boo! Here we go. Okay, so here's the new configurator. So, yeah, it's still based around this. So, you've got WFB, camera, telemetry, setup. Very similar. Okay, so you can't do anything until you flash firmware. Can I actually have a look at the firmware versions or not? I can't click anything. I wanted to see if I could see the so in the repository, if we go to OpenIPC firmware builds, where's the builds? OpenIPC VRX. You can load the RunCam on it. It just needs the IP. Yeah, well, it's not connected at the moment, is it? So does it... This is the problem. You can't actually select. What I wanted to see is, do we have a... So do we have special builds for these yet or not? Do we have... I can't remember where the generic builds were. Are they under firmware? It's been a while since I've looked where everything's hiding. Some of the manufacturers are having their own builds, but they haven't shared repositories with us. Okay. Yeah, so at the moment then, I'm going to guess with the RunCam, we don't have the RunCam build. Do RunCam provide it? No. So RunCam, do RunCam even provide a build? Because if they don't, I am going to have to mention that. Because if you're going to ship something with custom firmware, you need to also provide that custom firmware. Yeah, you need to connect the camera to activate the buttons. Okay, so wait a minute. Do we have... No. RunCam, if you're shipping custom firmware, you need to list the firmware on your website. Can't expect the dev team to pull up your crap. But yeah, look, hardware looks good. Hardware looks much tidier, much better. I need to update the Reduxer and all of that pain. RunCam are going to provide it on their GitHub. Is there a run? Does RunCam have a GitHub? No. Not seeing one yet. Okay. No. Not seeing one yet. So, we've got, as I've said, what we have is, we have the hat. I think there's 100. It's not going to last long. What RF chipset does the hat have? So it's the AU. So the hat is using the AU. And RunCam are not using AU. If I recall, RunCam are using the EU. Am I right, guys, in that? Slap me if I'm wrong. Am I right or am I wrong? I don't even know if they put it in the spec. RunCam has a EU2 was the version 1. What are they using on their VRX? I thought they were using the other chipset on the RunCam. I did see it, but I've forgotten. So, yeah, it's as simple as that. Okay. So, hardware's getting on. VRX uses the same module. Are they both AUs? Oh, that's right. The first one used the EU2. The second one's... This uses the AU, the same as the RunCam module. Some people did say they preferred the EU2. So wait a minute. So RTL, EU on both VRX module and the air unit. Right. So the RunCam are using the EU. The hat is using the AU. EU2 is better for the air. Yeah. Yeah, well, didn't one of them support 40 megahertz? Doesn't the AU not support 40 megahertz at full bit rate? If I remember. Hey, an FPV? It's something like that. I need to remember. I had it all tied up. Funny fact, you can use the Bonnet as an air unit. Yeah, very much like ExpressRS. That I'm not shocked at. 40 megs carrier and a lot more. Yeah, that was it. It was the 40 megs carrier on the EU has the 40 megs carrier. The AU does not. Am I correct on that, Eduardo? I got it written down because I can't remember everything. But then, so that's where we're at with OpenIPC. Okay, guys, if you've got any questions, please do put them in the chat now. From my perspective, overall, it's actually really quiet in FPV at the moment. There isn't a lot going on. There was a new radio that I saw. For people who haven't seen it, there's a new radio released, which is the first radio using H7 CPU. I think this is one of the first ones to actually hit the market. Now, it wasn't the V16. Which was the one? The V16 is basically a copy of the TX16, but there's another Hello radio. Let's go on AliExpress. There's another one released. Go away. Hello radio. Here it is. Is it this V14 Max thing? Here it is. So this thing has launched. It's jumper. Yeah, it's got that feel all over it. It definitely... That case is jumper. The Hello radio. Yeah, that's definitely jumper. I can tell from the antenna. Although it's not looking like the jumper gimbals. HTX. AI. My God. We got AI. Finally. OLED display. CNC gimbals. LED rings built in. Color changes. It's an OLED display that's made to look like it's LCD. Great idea. I think it's a lot of money for a pretty unknown radio. This is the problem. It might be very nice. It's got LEDs and they look like metal gimbals, or at least metal top plates. But look, I don't know. it must... It's very hard to recommend a radio. And look, you can tell this is Hello Radio Sky. It's not even listed on their website. That's brilliant, isn't it? That tells you everything you need to know about a brand, right? The new radio is not even on their website. That's just every red flag you ever need right there. If they can't even put it on their own bloody website, it's like... So it's the V14. So they actually have the Edge TX card on the website. But they don't have the actual product. They have the manual. Oh, we have a manual. At least you can get the... No, you can't get the manual. Did that actually download? No, it didn't. No. So you can't have the manual. Declaration of conformity? No, you can't have that either. Don't go near it. I'm sorry. I hate to slap on a brand. But look, guys. Don't go near it with a frickin' barge pole. They did reach out to me and ask me if I wanted to look at their radios, but I said no. And the reason I said no was... I can't recommend it. How can I recommend a product that has barely been in the market? They don't have it listed on their website. And we know nothing about. Just go and buy Radio Master. Just go and buy Jumper. Just go and buy what you know. I turned it down. I just said, you can't. I can't sit you and say to you and say, hey, this is amazing. Because it's not just about the radio. It's about the brand. It's about the company. It's about how they behave. Here's what I love about Radio Master. We know the product's reliable. They will sort you out. And here's the next. Look, this is the greatest thing about Radio Master, right? And this is why Radio Master should get all the credit, right? I got my radio. Right. I need a part for my Boxer. Everything is listed. Everything is listed. I've damaged a switch on my Boxer, and I need to get a switch because I'm not replacing the Boxer for the switch. I need to take mine apart, but if I needed to get a board, you can get a board. It's all there. If you need to, you can get the parts. Wait a minute. Are they on a separate board, those top switches? I thought they were on the main PCB. Are they not on the main PCB? Am I going mad? Where's the toggles on the Boxer? I thought they were on the main board. Are they? I didn't. Am I going mad? Where are the toggles on the Boxer? On the top. Yeah, there's gaps. These are the top toner ones. Top corner. I can't see them. Am I really going nuts? Because I can't see the toggles. There's the pots. There's the corner buttons. And then let me get back and then I'm after my own video. Where are they? I didn't think they were on a separate PCB. Now I'm going to have to look at my own teardown. Yeah, they're wired. There you go. I thought they were directly on the PCB for some reason. I could be confusing it with the Mambo. Because the Mambo, yeah, I think I am actually. Eat lemon. I am. You are right. Dark mode, my eyes, my eyes. So, where are these, Radio Master? Because I need another... Where are the... There we go. I'm being an idiot. There we go. I need some new ones. $4.99. $4.99. That is what I love about... The big problem is I've seen so many freaking radios. That's what I love about Radio Master. We can get the parts. Yeah, I've broke one of my toggles, so I need to get a new one. I might just order a toggle switch and just swap it over rather than ordering them from Radio Master. But that's what is great about Radio Master. Okay, now, if you've got any questions, put them in the chat before I move on to talking about tonight's last subject, which is the Bambu Lab H2D. Before I do that, though, and while I wait for them to come in, how's the INAV wing? A new ESC arrived today for the wing. Let me grab it. For some reason, the ESC died. So I ordered this random ESC. I haven't even looked at this. I don't know if I've been ripped off because I ordered it from Amazon. I was trying to get one fairly quickly. Hobby Wing, Skywalker 40 amp 4S version 2. I don't know if anyone knows what these are like. Haven't tried it. Literally just arrived. There we go. Hopefully that can replace my ESC. Hopefully it won't burn out like the last one randomly. Or not burn out, but stop accepting input. Need to cut the connector off, but yeah. Hobby Wing Skywalker. It was fairly cheap. Hopefully. The annoyance is... the ESC was working on and then it just stopped on the bench. It's now complaining it's not getting a signal from the FC. It's refusing to get a signal from the FC. It's not that it stopped working, it's just double beeping T-motor. So hopefully this one will not do that. What's the extra wire about? What's the yellow one? What's the slave cable? Programming. Apparently. Better keep hold of that. So, that only came in a couple of days ago. So, that's going to replace the T-motor ESC in it. The wing is rebuilt. it's ready to go. It's got lots of glue in it. And I'm going to be, considering how bad it was, right? Let me grab it. Considering how bad this was, and I mean, bearing in mind, it blew up on the beach. And I mean blew up on the beach into multiple pieces. I 3D printed a new motor mount. So let's brighten this up because it's black so you guys can see, and then I'll focus. The motor was underwater, so I had to recover the motor and clean it out. I 3D printed a motor mount and then ended up having to rebuild this whole back end with lots and lots of glue. And I mean lots and lots of glue. And I had to put a piece of foam in. Did the glue mess up my center of gravity? Haven't checked that yet. Hot snot for the win. Yeah. Hey, there's a lot of super glue in there as well. So that was it there. It also blew up and ripped this entire area out. And I had to rebuild this entire area as well. And actually complete, because it ripped out the mechanism in there. And it ripped all of that out. Completely ripped all of that out. It was a complete mess. And it ripped the front end apart as well, which I've now retaped and glued. I've had to glue this nose piece in to add some structural strength because it's split round there. But it's back together. Incredibly, I don't think it'll survive another crash. I'll be honest with you. It is, though, missing part. Look, it's got a bite out of it there, look. That I haven't fixed and can't fix. It does have a bite out of it there. But I just now need to change the ESC. Starting to sound like Manstech's version of Trigger's Boom. It is. That motor was in seawater. I have to say that 1400 kVt motor, that was in seawater. So yes, that needs to go in and we'll be ready to go. Have I heard of any MSP issues with 04 and 04 Pro? Myself and others have had OSD drop and screen show 0 volt. Have to power cycle to fix it. Not ideal when you're disarmed on a roof. No, I've not seen it myself and I've not heard of it. Are you all using the same flight controller? Random flight controllers? It would suggest... It depends what happens. Because you can have OSD without voltage, and that can be a TX line issue. No, the bearing survived. I cleaned it all out with IPA, and the bearing survived. You would love a 3D printed wing. No ability to arm, so I assume it's thrown the MSP flag. Weird. They definitely... Have you updated to the latest version on 04? Just to make sure... Is it since the latest version, by the way? Because remember, they made a change for the INAV OSD. Is it only happening since the new version? Because they might have broke something else with Betaflight. That's a possibility. Double check, because remember, they updated it to be more compatible with INAV, but that might have broke something on Betaflight's side. just catching down on the chat. DJI Potato, still worth it today. Can get it for $250 from a co-worker. No. Look, if you've never flown before, no. Look, it's not worth it. Expensive batteries. It weighs like a bag of spuds, and it explodes if you look at it the wrong way. It will literally blow its arms off the second you look at it wrong. It will turn into a dead octopus. I've never seen a drone that dies as bad as the DJI FPV drone. There has never been a drone that looks as bad as that drone. Honestly, its death, it literally dies in the horriblest of ways. This drone. I'm trying to find the real funny pictures. It literally just explodes when it... Remember, JB broke it on his initial review, which I remember back. And that was a tell sign. It literally just goes... My Potato has rescued lots of quads. Yeah, it's good for that. So is a Mavic. Yeah, the Avata 1 is solid. The Avata 1 is bomb-proof. I crashed my Avata 1 in a field on purpose like 30 times one day and it didn't break. You know when we had the dipping issue, when I was trying to prove the dipping issue, I crashed it like 30 times and it didn't break. It's just bonkers, that kind. Right. So, the last thing I want to talk about is the big 3D printing news. And I know 3D printing is for everyone, but I do talk about it and I do a lot of it on the channel. And this week, Bambu released the H2D. Now, we pretty much knew everything about... Not everything, actually. We knew a lot about it before the launch. H2D, rethinking personal manufacturing. This is a bit of a left field one in the sense of it is a 3D printer, and on the 3D printing size, dual nozzles, all new AMSs, which are really cool. You've got faster printing, bigger build volume, loads of really nice little features. And I mean lots of features. 4 cameras in there, although you only have access to one. You might get the nozzle camera in the future. It is a complete refinement of what they've done. But on top of that, they also have 2 versions. There's a version with laser cutting, either 10 or 40 watts, engraving and cutting. And there's a version, and that version also has the ability to cut or write with a pen, which I thought was quite cool. But it is more than anything a big printer. It isn't perfect. There are quirks to it from what I've seen in the review. So for instance, you can't get the full bed width because the nozzle setup. There's some really cool stuff though with the way it lifts the one nozzle out the way. There are elements of this which I felt disappointed about, but I'm feeling better about today. When I first saw it, I was like, oh wow, it does all of this stuff. And then I realized it didn't. So for instance, dual hot end, which is really cool. It actually moves one of the hot ends out the way. So when, look, where is it down here? It will actually move. Where they talk so much about everything else except the freaking hot end. Where is it? Here we go. So it will move the left nozzle up and down. The right nozzle stays fixed and the left nozzle... So the left nozzle comes down below the right nozzle to print on that one and comes up. It is dual feeding, but it isn't fully controlling which nozzle to do with a single AMS. So for instance, each nozzle is individually fed. So it comes, if you buy it with one AMS, that AMS can feed either nozzle, but you have to choose which nozzle it feeds. It isn't like, oh, send it to the left nozzle, send it to the right nozzle. You can do that, but you need 2 AMSs. And that means you'd have to separate off all your filaments. What it can't do is go 1 AMS, send that to the left. You can't say have 2 spools in 1 AMS feeding both nozzles. You have to have a separate AMS or an external spool. It's 2 individual hot ends, which is still cool because you can have TPU on an external spool or the new AMS HT in one, but you can't have it in it. You've got to feed it through it. Or you can have 2 separate spools. It's up to you. I was hoping for a bit more on this. Probably the biggest disappointment when I first saw it was, and I know a few others had this, I was really hoping for an official 95 TPU compatibility. I would have loved it. It is what it is. You can run 2 separate spools of TPU on it. I think what's more interesting about it is all of the refinements. You can run up to some incredible amount of spools on this thing. It is insane. You can do multiple AMSs. All of the little stuff on it is really cool. So you can do flexible and rigid now, which you've always been able to do this. Multicolored TPU is going to be cool. There are people, though, with TPU mods on the AMS today. You can run TPU in the AMS. There are people doing it already. They've changed the springs and it allows them to do it. So we were sort of hoping for a bit more on it than that. But look, there is a lot of cool here. They're calling it, you can see there with the dual hot ends, so it's swapping between them, which will massively increase the speed of printing. So rather than doing feed out, feed in, that will make much faster printing and no calibration. There's loads of really cool stuff on it. I've considered a dedicated TPU AMS. You can use 1 slot for TPU and the others for rigid plastic with the spring mod. Render, technically, yes. However, something I picked up on in the reviews on this printer, people were having problems with feeding TPU. And in the end, they ended up running it almost directly down into the extruder from above, which worries me for you doing a TPU mod. What I know is on the X1 and the P1S, they will feed TPU with a modified AMS pretty much fine. My understanding is, I haven't done it, but people have done it and it works. There are harder TPUs, but 95. But people ended up having to run the TPU above, and that worries me for a modified AMS unit, because I'm wondering if there's too much restriction on the path. Now, you might be able to improve that. That's not to say you can't modify it. It's too early to know how much people can modify this. We just don't know yet. What I don't know, how do the guys who run TPU in the AMS get past the Bambu slicer not knowing about it? Can you force it to run TPU? I haven't tried. Just get the AMS2 for my P1S. Yeah, the new AMS2 looks really good. Look, I think there is so much technology in this printer. I think it looks incredible. I am on the fence, though. And here's why I'm on the fence. This printer is $2,000. And I'm not saying that's expensive. And I'm not saying it's not worth the money. I would love to check out this printer. I would love to spend some time with this printer. Honestly, I would love to. But it's $2,000 or $2,000 for the unit only. And my only problem is this. You can get 2 P1Ss with AMSs for that money. That is a lot of printing capability. but you can't do dual onto a... If you think how much faster this is, well, if you can print 2 at the same time, that's different. That speeds things up. And my only thing is, I think today a $2,000 printer has to be magical. And Bambu have caused this, and it's Bambu's own fault. And I can tell you what it is. It's because their smaller printers are so good. And just to show you something, right? I printed this today on the A1 Mini. And I got a video coming, another video on the A1 Mini. I printed this today on the A1 Mini. And it's virtually perfect. This filament is ancient Prusament. Okay, I've had this filament. It is not dried. It's been out in the weather in this room. I've had this for years. I think this is called Gentleman Grey Prusament. It's like 4-year-old. Okay. I printed this today. And it is just beautiful. And this is on the A1 Mini, by the way. This isn't even on the P1. A1 Mini. Old filament. It's clean as hell. Honestly. The filament has a bit of a tinge of a colour to it. That's why you can see it there. Just so good. Just so good. Someone just said, I've been considering the A1 Mini. Is the auto switching stand? Don't even bother. I don't really use the AMS on the A1 Mini. I just use the full size one. I feed it. I think it's incredible. I want one. I absolutely want this printer. I really, really want this printer. I really do want this printer. But if I think with my head as someone who recommends products, I still don't know how, and I'm just trying to find an image. I just want to show you guys something. There's still part of me that thinks 2 P1Ss for the same money could almost suit most people more. If you need multi material, then you've got to go down this route. You've just got to. I don't really think we've seen the full elements of this yet. I'll also warn you, it is absolutely freaking massive. And this is the bit I think it's got a bit lost on people. And everyone's going, oh, it's not big enough. The bed isn't big enough. That's a P1. Same printer, just without sides, P1S. Look at the sheer size of this thing. It's massive. It is absolutely massive. And as much as everyone whinges, I want a bigger print bed. No, you fucking don't. No one wants a bigger print bed. It is an absolute monster. Is it just because of the outer cage? No, it's that big. It is just that big. Yeah, you can get 3 P1Ss for the money. Yeah. Same size. That's the same size as the X1. That there is the same size as the X1. Let me find you another image next to an X1 because I've got it here. That's just unenclosed. There you go, next to an X1. Carbon. It is absolutely fucking huge. And I want one. I so want one. Damn. It is massive in comparison. And it's also not like the P1S is small. No. No. I need a new fridge, yeah. It is an absolute monster of a printer. And I actually think, genuinely, Bambu Lab have given themselves a problem. And their problem is their own product stack. They've done the DJI. The Mini 4 is phenomenal. It is a unit. It is an absolute unit of a thing. And look, is the bed as big as everyone wants? Some people just go and buy the frick. If you want a massive bed, go buy a Quiddy. Quiddy do big. Ah, yeah, it is, Joseph. This print is not for us. No. I'm less excited right now about the other stuff. And look, I have the cleaning. Someone posted some images after a bit of use. And I'm going to share these because I saw them. This was after a bunch of laser cutting. Let me just bring the rest up. This was after a bunch of engraving and cutting, so that's what the hot end looked like. I hope they look at the end of the day. But yeah. I don't want my 3D printers to look like that. What really, though, and here's the truth on something, right? People have been asking me, why haven't I made the Snapmaker CNC and laser video? And here's the truth. The hardware is great. It's over there. I was looking at it yesterday to try and get the video finished. Here's the problem. The software is basically junk for laser and especially CNC. The software for the CNC is virtually unusable for anything other than cutting out a square on the Snapmaker. I love the hardware. The software is junk. Where Bambu have the benefit is they have been really good in software, and if they can make the software, Bambu will do a good job, because what they've been strong on is software. This is the problem with the Snapmaker. The software is complete and utter waste of time for anything other than I want to cut a heart out of a piece of timber, or I want to cut a heart out and engrave a name. Can you use it to cut out pretty shapes, engrave people's names on them, name tags? Absolutely. Can I use it to create an FPV frame? No. I just can't. The software will not let me do it. Eduardo, until they tried to block third-party software, I have no problems with Bambu blocking third-party software. I'm quite straight on this. Bambu is not open. It has never been open. And the third-party software working was at either exploiting loopholes or at their allowance before. I have zero issues. No, you shouldn't. It's not open source. You shouldn't be able to use any slicer. Don't agree with that. It's not open source. If they'd sold it open source, that's different. They never did. And this is why I don't have a problem with Bambu. Because it's not an open source product. It never has been. It's closed source. That's what everyone bought. Just because you can't do it, or could do it, doesn't mean it was right. Also, as Joseph says, they haven't shut it down completely. They're just not allowing direct control now. The basics are you need a piece of software in between, And I will add that Orca chose not to add that support that software, if I remember. I understand why they've blocked it off. You've got to take into account other people had full access to full control over the printer. Their servers were getting battered by it. Secondly, what if someone did something that burnt your house down? You're going to have to Bambu. Just like if DJI allowed third-party software to charge their batteries and your battery went on fire and burnt your house down, you would go after DJI. I actually fully get why Bambu are closing it. And it doesn't bother me. I really don't care. If I wanted open source, I'd have bought open source. I'll be honest. Open source 3D printers have been as much problems than they've solved for me. And here's the truth. Most, and look, there is a dirty fact in 3D printing. Everyone's sitting here claiming we're open source, but they're not. They take open source software such as Clipper, modify it, and ship a proprietary version of that on their hardware. Some hardware, you can't even flash it with off-the-shelf Clipper. Very few are actually shipping Bob standard Clipper out the door without modification. They're not really open source. They're taking open source and modifying it and moving it to be closed and difficult. Creality allowed open source builds of their software in the end. They didn't initially. If you take a lot of these others, they are all scraping Clipper, modifying it, and shipping a proprietary version. And this is why I don't have a problem with Bambu closing the doors. I don't even use Orca Slicer. I use Bambu Slicer. What I want today from a 3D printer is quite simple. I want it to just work. I want it to just work. I don't want to F around. I don't want to mess around. I don't want to have to calibrate the bed or do this or that. If anyone watched the review of the Bambu verse, and I can't remember the verse, the Prusa XL, you really saw how behind Prusa were. And it's shocking how far behind. Someone said, I can't trust them anymore. Then don't buy it. Go and buy another brand. There's plenty of printers out there. You don't have to have... They have no... You don't have... They don't need to worry about the people who don't want it because they're catering for the Just Works market. You know, there is... Prusa's not even fully open source. There is a printer that will suit most people's needs from Prusa if you want it. The Core 1. Fully assembled. 1,300 quid without an AMS. Forced updates are aggressive. Yes, but they've never forced update. There has still not been a forced upgrade on their printers. Let me tell you what version of firmware is on my P1S. Bear in mind, I've not updated my P1S or X1 for months / years. Let me check it. It's old. P1S is on, and this is where the bullshit kicks in, you see, because, okay, so I am on version, bloody hell, I've just gone past it. Get back. No, I don't want that. I want the version. Where's the version? I saw it and it went 01.05.01.00. So on my P1S, I'm on 01.05.01.00. I've never been, I don't update it. I don't need it to update. 0105. I updated it. When did 0105 come out? 02. January 24. I haven't updated it over a year. I haven't updated my P1S. My X1 will be old as well. Go away. Maintenance. General. 0107. 0107 on the X1. Never updated it. I don't know what's the firmware for the X1 series. Where's the firmware? What section was that under? Manual, firmware update in release history. P1S and AMS released history. So if I go to the X1, where do you find the versions for the X1? Are there any reasons not to update the Goggles 3 to latest version? No, it's all fine. UAV. Yeah, so look, I haven't. They've not forced a firmware update yet. So look, and I get, look, if people don't want it, but don't whinge about it. Don't buy it. You can't. There is no perfect solution. I don't have a single problem with Bambu locking out the other software. Don't really bother me. Doesn't care. Won't affect me. About the only people in this who have a right to be aggrieved, but as long as they don't force a firmware update, if they don't force a firmware update, no one's got anything to whinge about. If you've got a print farm, you should still be able to use it. But if they don't force an update, then there's nothing to worry about. There's just nothing to... If they don't force the update, then people can carry on the firmware they're on. Buyers should be informed. It's closed source. But most people don't even know what open source is. I think way too many people get hung up on most people understanding what it is. Very little you buy in life is open source. You don't buy a TV and go, oh, by the way, is it running open source software so I can change the operating system? You don't buy a washing machine and go, well, is it running open source software so I can upgrade it? My microwave. Do I need my mic? I want to change the software on my microwave. I want to be able to do this. Look. Very little in life has software that you get to fuck around with. Today, most 3D printers, they don't even need don't care about firmware, but Bambu Studio is open source. Yes. It's based off open source. And it's probably not right to call it open source. Makers like open source. People, makers think they need open source. What you need more than anything is it to work. The reason... Here's something, and this is as someone who's been around a long time. A lot of the reason people like open source is because they don't want to be stranded when the manufacturer goes belly up. Because that's happened so many times with Chinese. The issue is, if it's a solid company and the company provides updates and the company provides products that keep working, then actually open source is not important. What it's about, more than anything, is not buying a product that would be stranded. And that's what gets a lot of people. Open source has done great things in the right areas. It's helped, you will argue, it's helped 3D printing, but it's also really hurt it. And here's the biggest problem in 3D printing today, and this will be my last thing on this, is loads of Chinese manufacturers are banging out tons of hardware, making money off the back of free software without putting anything into that development and basically skimming off the top without putting the work in. What Bambu should actually be congratulated for is putting money into software. Because that's what DJI did. They put money into software to make their products work. The big problem in 3D printing is all these companies smashing out cheap hardware on software, on free software. And that's the problem. Because what it means is you get the hardware companies come in, bang out a printer, and look, a bunch have survived now. You know, things have settled, Sovol and others. And there's some good, cheap other printers out there. It's like Android, right? People used to say to me, I would only use Android because I want open source. I was an iPhone user forever. The only reason I stopped using the iPhone was because I wanted to give Apple the FU over their Patreon mess. I like my S24 Ultra. It's a good phone. I do still think my iPhone was better in the end. I still prefer my iPhone in the end. And I actually can see at some point, not in the next year, I'm with Android for a while now. There's still a few too many quirks in Android. All familiar, all these flight controllers and ESCs? Yep. Apple moved Patreon into being classed the same as app revenue, so Apple take 30% of every monthly Patreon signed up through iOS. They never used to, and they moved it into the same realm. So Apple take a 30% cut of anything purchased via the App Store. They now force subscription models to also pay that 30%. That changed this like 3 or 4 months ago. So anyone who signs up to a Patreon via Patreon for iOS, that user is losing 30% of it to Apple. And that's why I stopped supporting Apple. Right. It's the end of the stream. Thank you all. That's my rant on 3D printers over. I want a H2D. Look after yourselves. Stay safe. And I will speak to you soon.